When the door shuts, how then will my heart be open? If the mind does not yield, will all else be broken? Dearly beloved, I was faced with a dilemma. About 16 years ago, I had a judgment that I had on another, and I'm going to tell you what it was. I felt that there was a calling. It was coming from inside my family, that I needed to be open, that our family wasn't complete unless we allowed for another to come into our family. I didn't have a history with the other. I felt that they demanded too much. I felt that they were high maintenance. I felt like it would take a lot out of me to be able to care for this other. The other was smaller, inferior, and I didn't really have a lot of respect. I didn't think that I could have the capacity in my heart and my mind to love the other. I actually felt that the other was dirty, that it smelled. But it was my daughter who begged me for 3 years that if I didn't give her a dog, that she would never let me hear the end of it. Now, many of you are laughing and you're thinking, it's a dog. A dog. I've heard others say that their dog is a part of their family, that they are so close, well, maybe not everybody, but the point is, there are some who've never grown up with a dog. I grew up with cows and cats, and I never had a dog growing up like some of you did. And I knew that it would take a lot for me to be able to open up my home for this creature to exist. Now, I don't want to make this a small point. It was a big stretch for me. And I had conditions and criteria that it would be my daughter's dog. I don't recall how old she was. She was little. And I remember we were there in our house in Venice, and I had to tolerate and I had to put up with. And I found a dog. Actually, my wife and I found a dog from a person that said, we need to rescue these animals because they're not going to have a home. And you know what happens if dogs can't find homes. So there we were, and it was a real difficult thing for me to open up to allow for a dog to come into my house. I painted the walls, I ripped out the carpets, I did a lot to make that house presentable, and already in my head I began to think about just how much harm and damage that dog was going to do. It was going to eat my shoes, it was going to scratch at the floors, it was going to, do stuff on the floors, and my mind was already racing with judgment, to which it was closing my heart and my mind in the capacity to care for it. So I did have conditions, I did put terms, and when my daughter had that dog on the first day and I put a bow around it, it was a puppy, I think it was only 7 months old at the time. She's running back and forth, claiming the house as her own and expecting everybody to love her. Her name was Daisy. And that night I had a crate and I put it in my daughter's bedroom, and I put this little puppy inside that crate. And I said, Emma, this is your dog, now take care of it. And I went content to my room, joining my wife, and then we started to hear it. And it started to cry. And a lot of you are nodding because you understand the dilemma I was facing. I had to get some sleep. I had to be at work the next day. I can't put up with this. So I go in there, and I was met by my daughter halfway. And she says, Daddy, I can't go to sleep. This dog is ruining my sleep. You've got to do something about it. Your dog, but it was my house. And so I took the dog with the crate, and I knew that my wife needed to get her sleep, and so I put the crate in the living room. And little Daisy began to whimper and cry, and I started to think, this is all new to her. She's never been here before. She doesn't know who we are. And the other thing that sank in is that she is totally dependent on us. I stuck my hand into the crate and just kind of soothed her when I could, because I was trying to train her to go on her own accord. And then over a period of 12 different whimpers, I knew that she was settled. We both fell asleep. I did that for what, 3-4 nights? And I said, man, what has become of me? This was supposed to be my daughter's dog. I think the point that I really want to get across is this. Sometimes our hearts and our minds are not open to what God has given us. And when that happens, when we are closed, I feel like we're broken. Why am I using the example of a dog when before us is the example in the gospel of so many other rich images, more serious images than taking a pet into your home? We have the context of a woman who has a daughter who has an unclean spirit. She was from the area of Syrophoenicia, which is current-day Lebanon. It's up near a place called Tyre, T-Y-R-E, very north of the Sea of Galilee. And Jesus is looking for a place to rest in this land. Perhaps there was a follower who said, I've got a room you can stay in. Perhaps Jesus was looking to find comfort and a getaway. He wasn't really expecting for someone to come and to ask for his hand and care, and yet it happened. Now, Jesus could have turned that woman away. She was pleading that Jesus would pray or extend his hand, his powerful ability to heal, towards the direction of her home, to where her daughter was in a place of unfitness, an unclean spirit. I don't know the details of that woman. I know that for a mother to travel a distance, to leave her child, to go to a person that she's never met and only heard of, that took a lot of faith. I bet she was desperate. I bet she knew nowhere else to go. And when she came to Jesus, she simply shared with him the story. Jesus could have said, ma'am, I appreciate it, but I need to go. I have other matters to attend to. I need my rest. Why don't you go see my disciples? I mean, the list was long, right? Jesus could have sent her anywhere at that hour. But he didn't. He actually spent time with her, and he extended this saying to her. Why should I, or why should we, meaning the whole church, give the scraps to the dogs? You should go to the children first. Do you understand what he was saying to her? The Syrophoenicians were undesirables. They were not wanted by the people of Israel because they had, by numerical force, taken over the land of Israel to a point to where the identity of the Israelites were questionable. They detested the Syrophoenicians. They wanted them away and gone. Jesus is not making a pitch to bring all the Syrophoenician people, the people from Tyre, to come and live and dwell in the nation of Israel. But he is open. He is open with his heart and mind to realize that no matter what people may think of this person, this is still a child of God. No matter what this person can be judged in the mind of someone as of Jesus, he knew that she was worthy of being cared for. What did that look like? What did he dole out to her? Did he give her a house to sleep in? No, he didn't do that. Did Jesus give her money? No, he didn't give her money. He didn't give her food. He didn't give her anything but time. What happens when we shut the door? Our hearts are no longer open. Our minds will follow suit, and the rest of us will be broken. Jesus put that parable in front of her about the dog and the child because people like her were judged as lesser than dogs. They were lesser, they were inferior, they were detestable, they were a threat. And yet Jesus shown that mercy was greater than judgment. All he did was he prayed for her. He challenged her. He wanted her, he did vet her. He wanted to know what she thought about what he said about children should get the food before the dogs, and the dogs are not worthy to gather up the crumbs under the table. He was doing it because he already knew how she felt judged. He wanted to know if she would come along, perhaps lick his hand, I'm just figuratively speaking, crying out in the middle of the night, wondering if he would give her some solace and some attention. And it's from that attention, it's from that prayer that she felt cared for. And when he addressed her as a child of God, she became a changed person immediately. And not only her, but her daughter who had an unclean spirit. I wonder about the societal pressures and the trauma that goes on in this world of ours. We have so much been given to us. We are so privileged. We have food and we have shelter. We have money. We have things to which we do see a way in this world. But there are people who have nothing of that. I think it does unclean the spirit. I think it does make people feel lesser. And I do think people are struggling in the world today. I wonder also, what is the role of myself as a Christian? I wonder about my role in the leadership of a church and what we're supposed to be doing for others. James is going to bring this to light. James, who of course wrote that beautiful epistle, said in the very end, show me faith without works, and I'll show you faith that is what? Dead. It's broken. We dare not risk our faith being broken. And therefore, we must understand that our hearts and our minds, they have to remain open. I'm not charging all of you to go out there and find the first homeless person you see under the bridge. I'm not calling you to go out there and extend your hand of mercy to the people that are the outcast and are questionable and even criminal. But maybe God knows your heart and mind so well, He may present those types of people, that kind of people in front of you. Have you ever seen that bumper sticker that says, help me be the type of person or the kind of person my dog thinks I am? I saw that and I wondered about that. I wonder what the dogs of the world think about us when we withhold mercy. Have you ever been in a situation where you've been confronted, where someone came before you, the least, the lost, the undesirable, the unwanted? What was your reaction to them? How did they make you feel? You see, God often brings things into this world, situations that will make you uncomfortable. And He does that for good reason, because He is vetting your faith. He's looking to see just how committed you are to loving the world that He created, as imperfect as it is. The world is broken. The world is closed. There are plenty of places in this world that we can find only judgment and no mercy. But today, dearly beloved, God has called us to search our hearts, to explore our minds in ways to which we do not shut the door, but we leave it open. I'm not asking you to fling it wide open. I'm just asking for you to leave a little crack. Because if you do, you will not be one who shuts the door. You will be in the line of which God has called you to be merciful, because mercy is greater than judgment. And in this world, we need a lot more mercy, because caring does precede curing. Be the caring and the curative agents of God's mercy in this world, so that your hearts will always remain open, and so that your spirit will never be broken. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.